Hi, and welcome back to Strong Survivors. I survived the belly of the beast, where our motto is together we can do anything. And last week on Strong Survivors, didn't deserve to be there. Everyone that went to prison didn't deserve to be there.
It's not the norm, because things that you see in a normal society, you don't see there.
Right.
What society have you seen 120 men in the same small space?
Little area.
Oh man, 120.
She's a dancer. She's not a singer.
She ain't got no body. She tick rocking her bone.
You say Sierra don't got a
Sierra ain't got no body. She a bone.
Good evening and welcome back to Strong Survivors. Tawana Willis. I hope you guys enjoyed our show. I'm coming to you this week and I want to speak to you a little bit about Miss Annie Cole and her heinous crime. So check it out. Here's an article from the New York Times from the archives, published October 9th of 1994. It says, two convicted of killing to steal an identity. A 32-year-old woman and her nephew have been found guilty of killing a 28-year-old woman to steal her identity. A jury convicted the 32-year-old woman, Annie Lee Cole, on Tuesday, then ordered the verdict sealed until a separate jury returned with the verdict for her nephew, Leander Foster, on Friday. Both were found guilty of first-degree murder and armed robbery. Prosecutors said that the two had planned to kill the younger woman, Stella Sproul, because Ms. Cole had wanted to use Mrs. Sproul's identity to escape her own troubled past, including bad check charges and a parole violation. Prosecutors said Ms. Cole had promised her nephew and a friend $5,000 each to abduct and kill Ms. Sproul. They also said Ms. Cole had taken out a $150,000 insurance policy on herself and planned to identify the dead woman as herself. Ms. Cole faces a mandatory sentence of life in prison with no chance for parole. A hearing has been scheduled for December 1st to decide if her nephew should be sentenced as an adult or a juvenile because he was 16 at the time of the killing. I have an article here from the Los Angeles Times dated May 15, 1994 from the Associated Press. It says, rights held for woman killed in stolen name plot. Detroit. Friends and family of Stella Sproul grieved at funeral Saturday and shook their heads in disbelief, reflecting on a world where a person could be used and tossed aside with such ease by another. About 200 mourners packed the church where Sproul was a faithful and involved member. Meanwhile, the woman accused of plotting Sproul's death and trying to assume her identity remained in a Mississippi jail. Mary Whitaker, one of the mourners, described how Sproul went to meet Annie Cole, a former co-worker, with a resume by her side, sure that she was going to finally get a full-time job. She was so nice she didn't know what she was getting into, Whitaker said. Police said they agree. They say that Cole, 32, asked to meet with Sproul during her lunch hour to give her a job application. But instead, police say Cole had promised a nephew and one of his friends $5,000 each to abduct and kill Sproul. When Sproul's body was found May 3rd, police say Annie Cole went to the scene, identified herself as Betty Cole, and said the victim was her sister, Annie Cole. Betty Cole then told a Detroit funeral home operator that she wanted her sister's body cremated with no service and without visitation by the family. The day before the body was to have been cremated, police suspected that Betty Cole did not exist. They proved it when Annie Cole's brother looked at Sproul's body and said it did not look like his sister. And when a department store reported that a woman was using a credit card issued in the name of Stella Sproul, whose relatives had reported her missing by then. Cole, who police said was seeking to escape a criminal past including bad check charges and a parole violation, was arrested Tuesday in Indianola, Mississippi, where she had fled to stay with relatives. She said she will not fight extradition to Michigan to face a felony murder charge, officials said. The teenagers were arraigned Thursday on murder and armed robbery charges. Detroit Police Sergeant Christopher Buck said Saturday that he did not expect Cole to appear for an extradition hearing until at least Monday. Well, so there you have it with Miss Annie Cole's story. Like I say, my personal opinion, I do feel that it was a heinous crime. I would love to hear you guys' opinion because my opinion is not the only one that matters. But I would like to know, do you really think or feel that this lady deserves a second chance in life? I know that everybody is supposed to be forgiven, but do she deserve a second chance? This strong survivor really isn't a joke. She's very inspiring. We had her on last week. Check her out, Miss Maria Gordon.
Hi, I'm Maria Gordon. I'm just sharing with you today that I had my tooth pulled today, and I don't have to go all the way to Jackson to get it pulled anymore. All I have to do is go on the Lodge Freeway and get it pulled on Livernois. And I just thought that was a plus now, and I like to share it with you. I'm feeling much better, and I just thought I'd share. Be blessed. Bye.
Yeah, I'll do it to myself. That's what I do it every day. Every day, I gotta smoke the pipe. Every day, I'll dig the hole. I'll go deep in it. I'll stay. Finally, I was taking the. I'll do it like this. I'm taking the shower. I'll put my foot on it. Going deep in it. I'm getting down in the ground. Throwing the dirt on top of. Oh, you gonna take me on that?
You say what?
God brought me to prison. He saved my life. I'm trying to tell you, it wasn't me in the drugs. It wasn't me just going to prison because I was in my madness. You know, prison is a hospital, for real. It's a rehab. But people don't want to call it a rehab. They want to say prison don't do nothing for you. Prison ain't this, prison ain't that. You do the same thing. People condemn prison. And they do. And they say it's about the tax dollar. Every individual has their own outlook and intake on prison. And some individuals get something out of it, and some get what it is meant to be out of it. And sometimes it's really built and it saves lives.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
And it saved my life.
Okay.
It actually saved my life. For real. And I was sitting there thinking about it because, like I was saying when I was playing about throwing the dirt on me, I wasn't thinking.
I know.
I know. I was actually messed up. I was out here. And I was predestined to go to prison because God let me go so far into the mess that I was in. And He saved my life by sending me to that place. He spared me because I got a reason to live. And the reason to live is to share my story about the rest.
Exactly.
Yes, that's it. That's for real.
Mm-hmm. That was Maria Gordon. This week, strong survivors went out in the street. We took a poll and asked individuals how they felt concerning women who were once incarcerated. This is what some of them had to say.
Your name's Sean?
It's all good. Yes. What you want to know?
I want to know where you from, Sean.
I'm from Detroit.
You from Detroit? What do you think about women who has been incarcerated before, women who has done time in prison?
Shit, they just like niggas. Everybody do wrong. I mean, what I'm supposed to think about, they human beings.
Do you believe that they're good or bad people?
They just people. We are people, and we done broke the law. So, shit. I mean, shit. I don't got nothing to do with them being good or bad. If they just ended up in prison, they might be trying to get some money.
What's your name? Chris. All right. Where you from?
Detroit.
How do you feel about women who has been incarcerated?
No different from how I feel about the men.
Okay, how do you feel?
They might have deserved it, they might have not. If they didn't deserve it, I feel like they shouldn't have been. If they deserve it, they no different from the men.
Do you feel that they are good or bad people? Do you pass judgment?
No, everybody's human.
Okay. All right, thank you, Christopher. Hey. And where are you from?
Detroit.
What do you think about women who have been incarcerated?
Incarcerated with what?
What do you think about women who have been incarcerated in prison?
Incarcerated, been in prison, jail a long time. Well, I think they should get counseling, get much as counseling as possible, and try to get good encouragement, try to get out.
What about the ones that's out of prison?
Out of prison.
Yeah, what do you guys think about the women who's out of prison?
Let's get out of prison.
No, they went to prison, they did some time, and now they come home. What do you think about those kind of women?
Once they get out of there, make sure they try to live a good normal life. Not to do the same thing over again. Not to oppress them.
Do you think that they're good or bad people? Do you think that they're good or bad people?
I'll say they'll be good people once they get signed over and develop that. They'll become good friends.
Hi, Roger. Okay. Where you from, Roger?
From Detroit.
From Detroit. Roger, how do you feel about women who were incarcerated or women who did time in prison?
How do I feel about them?
Yeah.
I mean, I feel bad for them, you know, but I wish them luck, and I you know, hope that they get it together and be successful when they get out. And you know, just sometimes bad things happen, but you know, as long as they learn and get past it, they, you know, they equal like everybody else. You know what I'm saying? We all done made some mistakes, you know. So they need to be forgiven and make a new start and come check us all out.
How y'all doing? Ebony Davis, aka Gemini the Poet. My insight on women in prison is basically, I feel if you do the crime, you should do the time. At the same time, I feel that all people that commit crimes, once they commit them and serve their time, should be given the same opportunities as those who haven't committed them once they return to the community. Because we have to realize that over 90% of the prison population does return to society. And if we don't help build them back up and not make the same mistakes they made before, they're going to return to the system. I have people that I know that's personally in prison right now, and I know that they're not all bad necessarily. They just made bad decisions. As far as young women go, I know it's hard for them in prison because they have to adjust to certain ways that they're not accustomed to out here when you are free. I've heard horror stories of young women who've been raped in prison, and you don't think of things happening like that when you are a woman, because you're like, okay, how can a woman rape another woman? But as far as women in prison, we need to reach out to them instead of writing them off. Everybody makes mistakes, but your mistakes don't determine your future.
You recording me, woman? Huh?
What's your name? C to the J. How did you survive the belly of the beast?
I mean, staying focused, you know, staying focused and staying out them people's way in there. That's my main objective, is to, you know, stay out of trouble, no tickets, you know. Pretty much it.
What are your relationships like with your family and friends now that you've been released?
Oh, excellent, man. For real, excellent. I found love, actually, in there, and come, I brought it home. And we've been together now 5 years. My mom, they get along. I'm good with my family, especially my brothers and sisters. It was kind of rough before going in, but it's good now, real good.
Do during your time of incarceration?
Once again, I stayed focused. I got my GED. I took other vocational classes. I met a lot of nice people. Everybody in there is not bad, and even a bad in terms of.
What advice would you give someone who's a youth who may be headed down the wrong path with not a great sense of direction, or someone who's getting ready to re-enter society from incarceration?
Well, that's heading down the same road is all I say is seek God, man. That's it. Stay away from the streets. Just to sum it all up, it's just to see God on both ends, going in and coming out. That's what I did. I found God. I got me a church home. I've been there 5 years, and I'm loving it. So that's just the main thing is to seek God. That's it.
So do you have any other advice would you like to give to anyone who has survived a belly of a beast, or anybody else that just need advice from a strong survivor?
Stay focused, stay out of trouble, do something positive, stay around positive people. Once again, see God, being spiritual is everything. I mean, for me anyway, it brought me a long way. I'm in school now, I'm running a household, so I'm doing good. That's just it. Just see God, please.
Candy Justice.
I survived the belly of the beast. I did 10 years locked up. I'm back, I'm out, I got a family, friends. First it was kind of hectic because you don't know what's going on by being so locked up that long. But, you know what I'm saying, a real person will adapt to civilization. I had to adapt when I got to prison. It was a whole different other life. Got out, adapt to real life once again. I'm out the belly of the beast. I don't feel of joy. I feel, a sense of just being free. You be locked behind them bars. I was locked up 10 years, so year to year. See, when I did 5 years, I was like, damn, I had 5 more years to go. And goddamn it, behind them walls, it's different because you go place to place. You move when you don't want to move. It's just like you move like a robot. Yeah, well, I did 10 years. I'm out. I've been out for a little few years, so shit, I'm doing better than a lot of other people. They done came and got locked back up. A lot of guys I've been locked up with.
A lot of them. So you've seen a lot of stuff re-enter, and a lot of stuff is not the same like that no more when you get out.
Not the same. Right now, it's just like people, when I got locked up, people were a little bit free, but now, shit, it seems like everybody locked up, even out on the street. Time's hard.
Right. So where you from?
I'm from Muskegon, Michigan.
Okay.
My name is Larry. I'm from Muskegon, Michigan, and I did really survive the Valley of the Beast. I was sentenced to 10 to 22 and a half years with a term of end up doing 13 years total. I was in prison. Didn't believe that it was going to happen to me when I first got sentenced, because I sat in the jail and just bust out laughing at the judge and thought he was joking until he sent me the paperwork, and I seen the 10 to 22 and a half years on it. Reality really set in when I got to the reception center in Jackson Quarantine, where they send you through Jackson, Michigan, the real prison, the big house, and you go in there and look up, and all you see is bird cages with tiers up 4 feet high. And I asked the Lord, what the heck have I got myself into? Then, as I got in there, I laid in my cell the first night and thought about what was really going on, that I was not going to ever come home again, and I started crying. And I thought about all the consequences and all the people that I hurt it, and I said, forget it. I got to go on and do this mug. But 3 days later, I turned around and cried a little bit more, because I really realized again that prison was what it was. I'm not never going home for 10 years straight, flat. I ain't looking at the outside. I ain't thinking about the outside. I can say I want to go home, but I can't go home. So my first year down, they sent me to Muskegon Correctional Facility back here in Muskegon. While I was in Muskegon, I got to my unit for 2 hours and 35 minutes before they packed me back up and shipped me out across the street to Brooks Correctional Facility. While I'm at Brooks Correctional Facility, while I'm at MCF, one of the officers' home that I had incarcerated worked there, so I was not able to be placed at the same facility where he worked at. So they shipped me over to Brooks. I stayed at Brooks there for like 2 years and a half, fighting, doing everything possible because your family members forget about you once you get incarcerated. They'll come visit you for your first 2 years. After the first 2 years, you get forgot about. So that's a lot that people need to stop and think about when they go to prison because it's no joke. I'm serious as a heart attack when I say this. To all the young people that might get a chance to see this video, think twice before you do anything wrong because once the white man gets you downtown, it's over. You will not be the same no more. I have came home from prison after doing 13 years in that Michigan Department of Corrections, from prison from level 4, 5, 6, all the way back down to level 1. Fighting, watching people get stabbed, get killed, and get hurt. Had to sit in rooms where I got misused and abused by folks for no reason. Now, you want to really know? Take a chance on this. Take your rump to prison and you'll find all this out. Cut that because I'm...
You know, it's always been this crazy stigma on women, especially those that went to prison, where they would be like, oh, she's crazy, or women from prison, they're crazy. But wow, strong survivors come in all shapes, forms, and fashion. And guess what? All strong survivors are crazy, even the ones that didn't go to prison. Check her out.
Okay, I started
strong
survival.
Okay, survival. I am blah 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 blah. What's this?
Relinquish
all rights to information, photos, or other footage provided to the who was this? Tawana Williams, or who was that? Tawana Williams. That is, or affiliate. Or any affiliates with strong survivors of the media, whatever. Just whatever. I know what it means.
Okay, let me read it.
I understand.
Okay. So I just wanted to interview you and get your personal opinion on how you feel about, what's your name first? I would like to get your name, where you're from.
Catherine.
Where you from, Catherine?
Well, you ain't be taping me now. No, ain't no video taping.
Oh, okay.
Understood, but no.
She take all that too.
And I ain't gonna go wild, let me know when you tape me, cause I ain't no motherfucking joke about this bullshit. What you say? Strong survivors? I'm a motherfucking strong survivor, cause I survived through a whole bunch of shit. You know what I'm saying? Look, I went through gang banging, all that bullshit, drug life, death, and every motherfucking thing. I'm a real survivor. Case closed back.
What's your name?
Catherine.
Where you from?
The hood.
We were also able to catch up with Miss Olivia Nelson this week, and we heard some of the encouraging things that she had to say, and she had some stories to share with us concerning her life and just how she feels and what's going on. So check her out.
To work in the community, you know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
I need to be out, like, you know what I'm saying? 'Cause for real, I got a story, you know what I'm saying?
Yeah, you do.
And, you know, these young kids out here in the world are getting more and more corrupt, and they think it's just glamorous on the internet. They don't know what it's really like. You know what I'm saying? You don't get no brownie points from going to prison, for real.
For real, not at all.
Don't nobody give you no pat on the back. You don't get a reward when you leave. People that come home, you ain't got no support system. They just throw you out the streets with nothing. They ain't got no halfway houses for women.
No, so don't.
You know what I'm saying? And this is the reason why. What's that word that they use for prisoners who come right back to prison? Recidivism rate.
Recidivism rate.
Yeah, the recidivism rate is going up, and people go right back to prison because when you don't have that support system and you don't have the things in place in the community to get people started, that's just what it do. I got a lot of comrades. You seen Megan. Megan was 21. She wanted to come home at 28 years old.
Good morning. Coming to y'all live for the second segment of I Survived the Belly of the Beast. I just want to speak to y'all this morning about some of the transitions that we as ex-prisoners or ex-cons or whatever they choose to call us goes through upon being released out of the penal system. It's a hell of a transition going through these stages of coming out here and trying to be that quote-unquote role model citizen or trying to just be a productive citizen of society. You going through so many different things with dealing with society and peer pressure from family and POs and, dealing with self. I found out after being home after a 15-year sentence for a year now that my biggest struggle is with self. It's not so much of society and dealing with other people, but you have to learn how to conquer self. And it's kind of hard because you go through these different mood swings every day. We as men or women, well, I'm really just say men, like to say that men, we're not emotional, but we are. Because if you're not emotional, then that means that you don't have a thought process. And we full well know that thought, everything that you do in life start with the thought. Survival of the best, survival of the belly of the beast for me is survival of the best, I should say. It's like what God created. The stronger eat, the weaker manifest. Meaning that even with us humans, if you weak, the strong human gonna always prey on you. So going through these different transitions, trying to find a job and having, to check that box saying, yes, I'm an ex-felon, or yes, I was in prison, all these different natures. Those are just tests that we have to go through. Me personally, I like to inspire myself by always reminding myself that, one, law governs all events, and two, a soldier never knows his strength until he conquers his foes. And those thoughts must be developed by the exercise of strength. So we're going to always have multitude of lessons here on this plane, meaning earth, as well as the life after. So you're going to always go through your ups and downs, struggles, temptations. You're going to always have these different things. Now going back to the prison and going and doing the wrong thing to backtrack where you came from, no, we don't have those thoughts. Nobody. I mean, no sane person is going to tell you that they want to go back to being incarcerated. Even dogs don't like to be locked up. So, I mean, in order for us to better ourselves in today's society, you have to conquer self. You have to deal. Sometimes it's best for you to go into the lab and deal with yourself before you can deal with other people. When you tend to let other people dictate your moves, then you have problems with self. So this program that Tawana has put together is really a beautiful program because it makes one's think and it reflects on your past. We can get in front of this camera and talk all the hip stuff and talk all the slick stuff that we did in prison or the things that we're doing out here, but yet and still it's always a reminder of who you are and where you come from. One thing I learned by being in prison is no such thing as being hot or cold. Well, excuse me, there's no such thing as being lukewarm. Neither you're going to be hot or cold. You can't straddle the fence. So survival is something that I go through every day by dealing with self. Thank you.
next week on Strong Survivors.
It doesn't matter, it goes into my head and
It's straight from the city where they don't play games. Mama say keep your head on your shoulder, gang bang. Choose your right friends and you choose the wrong ones.
Okay, ladies and gentlemen, it's a wrap. I hope you guys enjoyed our show. Tune in with us Thursday night at 10. We will be going live on Ustream, where we will have Mr. Gregory Scott. He did a term of 34 years incarcerated. He had a life sentence, and he just released after 34 years. He have a very powerful story. So tune in, check us out Thursday night live, Ustream. Until next week, goodbye, Strong Survivors.